Welcome Algebra 1 students to another Regents review video. This is the August 2014 Algebra 1 Common Core Regents exam. And these are going to be the solutions to parts 2 through 4. Parts 2 through 4 are the open-ended response questions for this examination. And they do take a little bit of a long time, but not too bad. So we're just going to go through these. Just a quick reminder, if you are here, and I will say this all the time, if you are here to copy my work, do not do it, please. The Algebra 1 Regents is certainly a doable exam, but you actually need to try the problems in order to be successful in anything that you do. So please just don't do it. Make sure that you hit that subscribe button and make sure that you visit my website at www.nysmathregentsprep.com. And for those of you who are here to learn, I welcome you. Let's jump right into the part 2s. Here we go. All right, now you need to be a smart test taker. I said this a couple times before. The part 2s are supposed to be very quick. You should be able to answer them within no more than 3 to 5 minutes per question. They shouldn't take that long at all. So number 25 says, in the equation x squared plus 10x plus 24 equals x plus a, x plus b, b is an integer, find algebraically all possible values of b. That implies that there's more than one value. You have to make sure that you're reading too. Values, that's plural. So we have x squared plus 10x plus 24, set that equal to 0. You are actually going to factor this. What adds to 10 and multiplies to give you 24? So that's going to be x plus 6, x plus 4 equals 0. Ladies and gentlemen, if you look here, the 6 and the 4, those are your b values. Because the reason why b could work in both is multiplication is a commutative property. Commutative property means that you could switch the order without changing the answer. So the multiplication property does fall under the commutative rules. So your answer is b is equal to 4 and 6. And does it say explain? No. So that, ladies and gentlemen, is your answer. B can be either 4 or 6 because multiplication is commutative, so the order could change. And there's your answer. B is equal to 4 and 6. Next question. Rhonda deposited $3,000 in an account in the Merrick National Bank, earning 4.2% interest compounded annually. She makes no deposits or withdrawals. Write an equation that can be used to find B, her account balance after T years. So you need to know that A of T is equal to the principal times 1 plus or minus the rate raised to the T power. This is a very common formula found on the Regents exam, and this formula is used for compound interest. So we're trying to find her account balance. So we have A of T. So A of T is equal to the principal, which is $3,000, times 1 plus or minus, now the rate. Well, the rate is 4.2%. A percent expressed as a decimal is 0.042 raised to the T power. So we're trying to find A of T. We don't know that. Your P is your 3,000, which is what we just did. And your R is 0.042. Now, this is exponential growth. We're almost done, I promise. But this is exponential growth because interest means you're growing it. So we got to get rid of that plus minus and just combine these numbers with a positive number. So 1 plus 0.042 because it's interest. And it says express it in terms of B. So B is equal to 3,000 times 1.042. I use the plus sign here, ladies and gentlemen, raised to the T power, and you are done. That is your answer for that question. All right, moving on to number 27. Guy and Jim work at a furniture store. Guy is paid $185 per week plus 3% of his total sales in $X, which can be represented by this. Okay, so there's Guy's function. Jim is paid $275 per week plus 2.5% of his total sales in $X, which can be represented by f of x equals 275 plus 0.025x. Determine the value of x in dollars that will make their weekly pay the same. That means set them equal to each other, the equations. So we have 185 plus 0.03x is equal to 275 plus 0.025x, right? Let's go ahead and subtract that 0.025x on both sides. So subtract 0.02. So subtract 0.025x. You get 185 plus 0.005x is equal to 275. Subtract the 185 on both sides. You get 0.005x is equal to 90. And then divide by 0.005 on both sides. Oops. 0.005. And when you type that into your calculator, you get x is approximately equal to $18,000. Actually, not approximate. It is equal to $18,000. So x is equal to $18,000. That's answering the question in dollars. So they will be making the same amount of $18,000, and that's it. Cool. 28. Express the product. Product means multiply. All right. Express the product of 2x squared plus 7x minus 10 and x plus 5 in standard form. So what you have to do is realize, okay, this is a trinomial, and this is a binomial. I don't know how your teachers taught you this, but when it comes to trinomials and binomials, I actually set up what's called a tabular box, or the tabular, or I use the tabular method, but some teachers just call it the box method. That's perfectly fine. Just draw yourself a box. You get 2x squared plus 7x minus 10, and then we get x plus 5. If you want to triple distribute, by all means, go ahead and do it, but it's kind of messy. So let's go ahead and multiply these out. So 2x squared times x is 2x to the third. 7x times x is 7x squared. Negative 10 times x is negative 10x. 2x squared times 5 is 10x squared. 7x times 5 is 35x. Negative 10 times 5 is negative 50. So now from here, I'm just going to combine like terms. So the 7x squared combines with the 10x squared, and the 35x combines with the negative 10x. And the 2x squared, the 2x to the negative, no, which one? Yeah, 2x to the third and negative 50 do not combine to anything. So when you combine all these, your answer is 2x to the third plus 17x squared plus 25x minus 50. And that is the product of those two polynomials. And that's it. All right, question 29. Let f be the function represented by the graph below. Then it says, let g be a function such that g of x equals negative 1/2 x squared plus 4x plus 3. Determine which value has a larger maximum value. In other words, they're saying larger turning point. And then it says justify your answer. So what I would do if I were you is I would take g of x and graph it. If you graph this into your calculator, and you could actually get the turning point with no problems. Okay, so we have this. Obviously, this function has a larger maximum than this one, because this one over here, this has a vertex of 1, 6. This graph exceeds 6. So your maximum, if you were to go to menu, analyze graph maximum, and then click before and after your maximum point is 4, 11. So the turning point for this is 4, 11. So it says determine which function. So we are going to say that g of x has the larger maximum because 11 is greater than 6. And that is your justification. All right, that's it. Moving on to question number 30. Here we go. So question 30 says, solve the inequality below to determine and state the smallest possible value of x in the solution set. I want you to ignore this for a second. I want you to just solve the problem. So we're going to first distribute the 3. We get 3x plus 9 is less than or equal to 5x minus 3, right? We're going to subtract the 9 on both sides. You get 3x is less than or equal to 5x minus 12. So now I'm going to subtract the 5x on both sides. You then get negative 2x is less than or equal to negative 12. Now, look, you could solve this any other way. You could start with any way you want. I just subtracted the 9 first. In hindsight, I should have added the 3, but it doesn't matter. Because when you divide by a negative, I'm sorry. That shouldn't be. There we go. When you divide by a negative, you have to flip the inequality sign. So this becomes x is greater than or equal to 6. That is your answer to solve this inequality. Now it says determine and state the smallest possible value of x. Okay, well, x could be greater than or equal to 6. So if it could be greater than 6, it could be 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. It could be any of those. But the smallest value is equal to 6. So we're going to say that the smallest possible value of x in the solution is x is equal to 6, and that is your answer. And that's how you solve that problem. All right, moving on to question 31. This is we're almost done with the part 2s. Okay. 31 is known as a residual. And it says here, the table below represents the residuals for a line of best fit. So it says plot these residuals on the set of axes below. So I'm going to graph these points. So if you graph 2, 2, all right, so 2, 2, 3, 1. These are your residuals. I kind of like to call these the y values because of your vertical axis. It doesn't, just don't call this your y-axis. Just know that it is considered the residual, but it's your vertical axis. So 2, 2, 3, 1, go to the right, 3 down 1 for negative 1, 4, negative 2, 6, negative 3, 7, negative 2, 8, negative 1, 9, 2, 9, 0, and 10, 3. Okay, so this is my residual plot. So that will give you 1 point on the regions. But now it says here, using the plot, assess the fit of the line for these residuals and justify your answer. So, look, this is a pattern. Now, the pattern is U-shaped, okay? In order for a residual to have a good line of best fit, the residuals have to be scattered, okay? If there's a pattern forming, it's not a good line for best fit. So we're going to say this. When a line is a good fit, the residual plot often looks like a random scattering of points. Since the residual plot does not look like a random scattering of points, the line of best fit does not accurately model the data. Anything on the lines of that, where that there is a pattern forming or something like this, that would be perfectly acceptable on the Regents exam. All right, moving on to question 32, the last of the part 2s, and it says, a student was given the equation x squared plus 6x minus 13 equals 0 to solve by completing the square. The first step was written is shown below, and it says that the next step in the student's process was this. Ooh, wait a minute. He's adding a c value to the left and the right. This is completing the square, ladies and gentlemen. This should be buzzing around in your head. Completing the square method. So it says here, state the value of c that creates a perfect square trinomial. So in order to figure out the value of c, we need to take half of the linear term, which is 6, have it, and then you square it. So your formula is b divided by 2 squared. That's going to be 6 divided by 2 squared. That gives you 3 squared, which is 9, which is your value of c. So c is equal to the value of 9. Then it says explain how the value of c is determined. You could just say that b divided by 2 squared was used in order to create a perfect square trinomial. That would be perfectly acceptable on the exam. And that is how you do that question. Not too bad. All right, now we're moving on to the part 3s. And the part 3s are a little bit more in depth, but again, they're pretty straightforward. So it says here, on the set of axes below, graph f of x equals the absolute value of 3x. Take the points and run with it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a table of values on the side, x and y, okay? And we're going to graph this on the set of axes on our calculator. Now, the absolute value bars in your calculator can be found on the button next to the book, and click on the absolute value bar. It's the first one in the middle row right there. All right, and graph the absolute value of 3x. Graph that, get your table of values, Control T, go to your turning point, which is 0, 0, and then you're going to list your value. So I'm going to go, let's see, -3. I'm going to start from -3 to 3. So -3, 9, -2, 6, -1, 3, 0, 0. This is all from your table of values, by the way. I'm just putting them on here because I have them in front of me. All right, so those are your values to plot. So plot them on your graph. So -3, 9, -2, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, -1, 3, 0, 0, 1, 3, 2, 6, 3, 9. So now from here, I'm just going to connect all of my points. So here to here. And remember to draw arrows at the very end and call that f of x is equal to the absolute value of 3x. And that would give you, I think, 2 points that would give you on the exam. Now, there are follow-up questions. And it's saying if g of x equals f of x minus 2, how is the graph of f of x translated to form the graph of g of x? You really need to know your transformation rules. When you have a value that's outside of the parentheses, and it is, in this case, -2, that would mean that f of x would shift down by 2 units. Okay? And then it says, if h of x equals f of x minus 4, how is the graph of f of x translated to form the graph of h of x? So we're going to say that f of x would shift to the right by 4 units. To the right by 4 units. And that's it. Now, this is a horizontal shift. Now, remember that your horizontal shift is opposite of what's in the parentheses. So in this case, if it's a -4, you would think it's going to the left, but it's actually going to the right. So if you want to verify this, and this is why the TI Inspire is so cool, notice how this is stored as F2. All right, so if I were to actually take a look at, like, for example, the first one, f of x minus 2, if you were to go and type in f of 2 of x minus 2, watch what happens. It actually does the translation for you. You're going down by 2 units. And then we're going to try f of 2 of x minus 4. It should be going to the right by 4 units. And there it is. So we know for sure that we explained ourselves properly. And we got the correct answer. All right, moving on. 34. The formula for the area of a trapezoid is A equals 1/2 h times B1 plus B2. express b1 in terms of a, h, and b2. Okay, so you're trying to solve for b1. A is equal to 1/2 h of b1 plus b2. Your goal is to get all of this stuff on the left-hand side and leave b1 by itself. So in order to do that, we are going to first multiply by the reciprocal of 1/2 h. So 1/2 h, this is really just the same thing as saying h over 2. So we're going to multiply by the reciprocal of h over 2, which is 2 over h. And multiply it to both sides, 2 over h. Okay, so we get 2a over h is equal to b1 plus b2. Now, in order to solve for b1, you just subtract the b2 on both sides, and you get b1 equals 2a over h minus b2. Make sure that that b2 is away from everyone else. And that is how you express b1. Now, there's a follow-up question. The follow-up question says that the area of a trapezoid is 60 square feet, and its height is 6, and one of the bases is 12. Find the number of feet in the other base. Now, what's so great about this question is that if you got this, we don't even need to plug these values back into the original formula, because it's saying find the other base. Well, your formula is already in terms of the other base. So your A is going to be 60, your H is 6, your B2 is 12. We are trying to find B1. What is B1? Okay, so let's go ahead and plug it in. So we get B1 equals 2 times 60 over 6 minus 12. Just plug it in. So we get B1 is equal to, well, 60 times 2 is 120 over 6 minus 12. So we get B1 is equal to 20 minus 12, and then your B1 is equal to 8. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the value of your second base of the trapezoid, and that is B1 equals 8. You are done with that question. Moving along. Okay. Let f of x equals negative 2x squared and g of x equals 2x minus 4. On the set of axes below, draw the graphs of y equals f of x and y equals g of x. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm just going to go ahead and graph my parabola of negative 2x squared, which is like that. And I'm going to get my table of values. So Control T. The turning point is 0, 0. I'm going to write these values on my paper. So we get, so this is our f of x, so we get x and y, right? So the values are negative 2, negative 1, 0, 1, and 2. Your values are negative 8, negative 2, 0, negative 2, negative 8. We're going to go in and graph it right now. So 0, 0, negative 1, negative 2, negative 2, negative 8. 1, negative 2, 2, negative 8. So we get that parabola. Okay? Now what's going to happen next is we're then going to graph the line. So g of x, right? Now, g of x you don't even need to graph in the calculator, because if you know how to graph a line, you're fine. That rhymes. All right, so the slope is equal to 2. Your y-intercept is equal to 0, negative 4. So go to 0, negative 4, and then go up 2 to the right 1, up 2 to the right 1, up 2, and just keep on going, right? You're going to create that line. Oops. Okay, and now you're going to go down 2 to the left 1, down 2 to the left 1, down 2 to the left 1, and you just do that there. So from here, what's going to happen is I'm just going to create my line. Now, notice that there are, in fact, 2 intersection points on here. So this is an intersection point, and this is an intersection point. Do you think that they'll ask us about that? They sure will. Down here, using this graph, determine and state all values of x, for which f of x equals g of x. That's x equals positive 1. That's x is equal to negative 2, because there are those lines right here. Okay, so your x values are going to be negative 2 and positive 1. You are done. And that is how you graph. Oh, I should really label. I'm sorry. That's f of x and that is g of x. I like to label my graphs just because I'm a little crazy. Okay, moving on to 36. Almost there, towards the end of the video. 36 says a school is building a rectangular soccer field that has an area of 6,000 square yards. The soccer field must be 40 yards longer than its width. Okay. Determine algebraically the dimensions of the soccer field in yards. So first and foremost, you should know that it's talking about an area of 6,000. The area of a rectangle is length times width. Okay. Now I'm going to let the letter x equal the width. And I'm going to let x plus 40 equal the length. Okay? So from here, what's going to happen is I'm going to draw myself a rectangle where A, the area, is equal to 6,000. Okay? So the length is x plus 40 and the width is x. So now it's saying determine algebraically the dimensions of the soccer fields in yards. So we could actually just take these things here, the length and the width, and multiply them, and then just set them equal to the area of 6,000. Not too bad, right? So we have the length times the width. So x times x plus 40 equals 6,000. You're going to distribute. You then get x squared plus 40x equals 6,000. Okay? So now we're going to subtract the 6,000 on both sides. You then get x squared plus 40x minus 6,000. Set that equal to 0. Now, from here, we figure out a factoring process. What adds to positive 40 and multiplies to give you negative 6,000? If the numbers are that big. Think 100. So your values are x plus 100, x minus 60, because 100 times negative 60 is negative 6,000, and 100 plus negative 60 is 40, and that equals 0. T-bar it and solve. X could equal negative 100 or x could equal 60, but we are working with length, so negative numbers make absolutely no sense. So your x value is 60. But it's asking you for the dimensions of the soccer field. So you're going to take the 60 and you're going to actually plug it in here and here. So your final answer is the width is equal to 60 feet and your length is equal to 100 feet when you plug those values in. And that's it. All right. Moving on to question 37. Edith babysits for X hours a week after school at a job that pays $4 an hour. She accepted a job that pays $8 an hour as a library assistant working Y hours a week. She will work both jobs. Sorry, my dogs are barking upstairs. She is able to work no more than 15 hours a week due to school commitments. Edith wants to earn at least $80 a week working a combination of both jobs. Write a system of inequalities that can be used to represent this situation. All right, so first I'm going to write them. And there are two systems of inequalities that you need to understand. There's one for time, and then there's one for money or monetary units. So the time function is x plus y is less than or equal to 15 because she doesn't want to work more than 15 hours a week, but she could work 15 hours a week. That's why it's less than or equal to. Now the money is 4x plus 8y is greater than or equal to 80. The reason why is she earns $4 a week. No, I'm sorry, $4 an hour for X hours. That's where that 4X comes from. And then $8 for Y hours. That's where the 8Y comes from. Now, of course, who wants to stop at $80 to earn money? So it has to be greater than or equal to 80 because, again, who would want to stop at just $80? You know, that's ridiculous. So now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to graph these inequality systems. So x plus y is equal to 15. That has a y-intercept of 15 with a slope of negative 1. So it starts up here, and then you go down 1 to the right 1. All right, and keep on going until you get to the very, very end. By the way, both of these lines are solid lines. They're solid lines, okay? And there's your first one, okay? And now let's go ahead and graph the second one. The second one has a y-intercept of 10, and it has a slope of down 1 to the right 2. Down 1 to the right 2, down 1 to the right 2. And you keep on going. Ooh, there's an intersection point over there. That might be helpful. Who knows? Okay, so now I'm just going to graph that line. Okay, so from here, it says... Okay, so first of all, these are inequalities, so I actually need to shade. So I'm going to shade for this one. I have to shade below this one over here. And then I'm going to shade above for the second one. So I'm shading above in this direction. Okay, so obviously the solution set is in here. Okay, that's your big S. Now, if we go to the next question, it says, determine and state one combination of hours that will allow Edith to earn at least $80 per week while working no more than 15 hours. So it lies in the solution set. Your point that you pick has to lie in the solution set. Look, there are multiple answers to this question. So I picked the combination 211. And 211 is in the solution set because this is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 211 is right here, that big red point in the middle. You could have also picked 110. You could also pick 310, etc., etc., etc. It doesn't matter what you pick as long as it lies inside the crossed hatched section. By the way, if you did choose this point, which is, what does that equal to? 10, 1, 2, 3, 4. If you picked 10, 5, you got lucky. That is correct as well because they are both a system of inequalities with equal signs. So that would also be correct. All right, that is the conclusion of this video. I hope that it helps you. Please hit that subscribe button down below and make sure that you visit my website at www.nysmathregionsprep.com for much more math content in Algebra 1 and all math subjects for New York State, and I will see you soon.